It's a warm, sunny fall day when I point my truck in the direction of the Grimes Creek area of the Boise National Forest. I'm headed to a working gold claim called Miss Lucy. It's on public land, and it's run by the Idaho Gold Prospectors Association, a club that helps the mineral curious get a foot in the door. The claim is way out past where SatNav stops working. I scarcely pass another car, much less see any other people, and I am almost thinking I'm lost when I finally see a group of people bustling around a campsite. There's a front loader running. People with shovels are trying to decide where to move a pile of rocks, and some people are actively mining here too. This is Miss Lucy. And the whole scene is so much different than I was expecting. I see men, I see women, younger people, older people. There's a big table full of snacks and all kinds of equipment I don't recognize offhand. I guess I was expecting everyone here to be a little rough around the edges, like grizzled miners or something. But everyone here is having fun. This could almost be like a company picnic, minus the heavy machinery. I work my way over to the man in charge of today's mayhem, Rich Nesbitt, and he is not what I expected for a gold miner.
The Rich Nesbitt story, born and raised in New York City.
Really?
For real, right in the heart of Manhattan. How does a city kid find his way to Idaho and become a gold miner, treasure hunter?
Is it gold fever?
Gold fever's part of it. I love finding things, whether it's coins or gold or relics. I just get excited. I was metal detecting a pasture over here, and I found a spray nozzle from when they used to wash the hills down. I was on cloud nine. I was doing backflips. I was so excited. Wow. So treasure hunting is just in my blood somehow. Yeah. And it's a natural progression. We started gold prospecting when my kids were about 10, but all they wanted to do was float the gold pans down the creek and chase them. And that was great for them. And then as it progressed, metal detecting, and then more treasure hunting, and then I think I'd like to find a gold nugget. Then I said I should dig for gold too, and now I'm just buried in it. I love it.
Rich recently had a major breakthrough in his life as a gold prospector.
I found my first gold nugget metal detecting this year right over the hill in Placerville. We pulled 11 nuggets out in 2 days from an area that wasn't even 10 yards wide.
What did that feel like?
Oh, it was so exciting. It was amazing. I couldn't wait to put it on the scale. It weighed 0.4 grams, and I was ready to do backflips. Now, my buddy, who's probably metal detected for more gold than anybody I know, he's been doing it for probably 20 plus years. We were digging some of the dirt out of the way to get a better layer to check, and I ran the metal detector just one time, and I went, oh, that's a nugget. And he goes, he's on his hands and knees already digging the hole. He goes, that sure is. So it never goes old. Finding gold is exciting.
What's like the courtesy there if you wanted it and he said, that's gold? Who is it, just who puts their hand on it first?
No, he who found it keeps it. So okay. I found it with the detector. It's mine. We help each other to get it out.
Speaking of working together, today the club is doing reclamation work. It's fall, and everyone's here to winterize Miss Lucy before the snow sets in. On today's to-do list is to drain a pond that's been used all summer for mining water. But there's a problem. Rich can't find the right parts to connect the water line to the water pump.
In the shed. So many times when you're mining, you come across small obstacles. This is one of them, trying to find the parts to fit this pump.
Rich and another miner, Ron Prater, go on the hunt for the right parts. The mining club has a small trailer on site. If you're the type of person who has an orphan hardware jar in your house, that's kind of what this trailer looks like. It's chock full of parts and pieces, semi-organized.
It doesn't have a filter or screen on the end of it.
Let's see if we can adapt.
I am so enamored with this, I'll just call it figure it outness. I envy Rich and Ron for those skills. Once their water line is set up, Ron primes the pump and starts it up. Mission accomplished. Ron's retired from his career as a mechanic. He's been a miner now for nearly a decade. Spending time up here in the mountains, working a mining claim with his dog, Sadie, Ron feels like it's a pretty good way to spend the summer. And this is so intriguing to me. I am not quite sold, but I am definitely curious as to why people like Ron like this so much.
Ron, would you tell me, what's like a typical summer like for you up here?
Well, I wasn't up during the hottest part. I went home.
Like, do you have a tent or a camper?
Camp trailer.
Yeah. It strikes me as like very hard work for not a guaranteed return.
Yep, that's right. It's a lot of work. You got to be, I don't know, you got to have the gold fever, I guess.
Yeah. And why do you like it?
Well, I don't know. I just like being out away from town and just kind of relaxing. Yeah. And I don't mind. It's good for you.
Do you mind me asking, is it like an income generating part of your life?
No, it's a hobby, strictly a hobby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before coming into this, I thought it was going to be people strictly making money doing mining, but this is like kind of an everyman's hobby. Would you say?
I think you definitely won't make a living up here because it's been mined before several times.
Yeah.
And so we're just kind of going through their tailing piles and getting what they missed.
Yeah.
You'd never hit the mother lode.
Do you feel like this is a valuable resource to be able to do this on public land still, even though like it's been 150 years?
Oh yes, I do. I mean it's put here for public use, I believe, and I think it's as important as the hunter does go out to hunt or the fishermen to go out to fish on public lands. I think it should be all right. I think it is all right.
The more I talk to Ron, the more I get a feel for gold fever. It is real, and I'm feeling it too. Here's what it's like for Ron. Ron tells me that he started digging up his driveway looking for gold. And as he says this, I'm not thinking, that's crazy. What I'm thinking is, wow, I wonder if there's gold under my driveway. But that's the gold fever talking. Ron's wife does not share his case of gold fever, and she's not impressed with the idea of Ron digging up their driveway.
And she says, "No, you're not going to mess my driveway up." And I said, "Well," I says, "look, all that sandy stuff that sticks to your shoes and get in the car every time it rains," I says, "all of that would be down on the bottom, and I'd have gravel on top. And you're not messing with my driveway."
And did you show her the first bit of gold that came out? What was her reaction?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wasn't thrilled.
Yeah. I might be inclined to take a flat driveway over a couple of flecks of gold too, in her defense.
I told her I'd fix it.
Yeah, and have you?
Well, just the test holes I did.
When he's not helping out with the mining club, Ron works an adjacent claim called Paymaster. When everyone breaks for lunch, I follow him back to his camp trailer to see how it works. Ron has a homemade classifier set up. It's basically there to just separate the big rocks from the little rocks. And Ron takes these little rocks, they come out a bucket at a time from the classifier, and he runs them through a gold panning station. It almost looks like sludge. So this is it, everyone. Panning for gold.
So you put your material in there and you get it good and soaked. Soak it down really, really good. And then you shake it really hard like you're even angry. And then you swirl it and tilt it. And these ribs, keep them the same angle as your water. And you shake it because all the gold should go down to the bottom because it's heavy. And then you wash off the top stuff just a little bit. And then you put it back down here and shake it again. And you wash off some more top. You know, all that light rock washing off of there. And you put it back in there and you shake it again. And all the light stuff comes up, the heavy stuff goes to the bottom.
Ron is swirling his pan around, and the slurry is slopping off the sides. It's the bigger rocky stuff that's falling off. Yeah, so you just like taking little by little off the top.
Yep.
And this is like the black sand, right?
Now we're getting down to the black sand, the heavies.
And then...
This
oh,
is what I got.
wow! That looks like gold!
That looks like gold. There's several in here that was... See, that one's kind of big. That's just about what they call it. If you pick it up with your finger out of the pan, they call that a picker.
Gold! As soon as we find it, I immediately get why this is so fun for people. We all know the saying that money doesn't grow on trees, right? But it really, truly does exist in the ground if you're willing to work for it. But here's the other thing I noticed, too. Gold panning is maybe the easiest part of what Ron's doing here. Next to his classifier and panning station is a big hole in the ground.
It looks like you only had to go about 3 feet to get bedrock. Is that?
That's why I did. And another reason I wanted something kind of easy because I'm not young anymore.
I am kidding about only 3 feet. It is a lot of work to dig 3 feet into the ground. But to get the dirt that actually might yield gold, you need to get down to bedrock. And it's hard work. Ron's wearing a back brace. He also has a shop vac nearby. This is one of Ron's tricks.
Got that old vacuum from a used store for $8. So I just brought the generator over here. I sucked all that up yesterday.
And you shop vac the bedrock.
Shop vac the bedrock. Scrape it good, loosen anything up, and I found a picker. One of those pickers in there was off of that bedrock.
Seeing Ron do all of this, I start thinking that I want to do this. Sit in the great outdoors, sharing a sandwich with my dog, panning for gold. It sounds amazing right now. But I'm pretty sure that's the gold fever talking, because this is hard. The more time I spend at Ron's claim, the more I get the sense that he's here for so much more than the gold. It's a greater experience. He's here mining history, too. He points to where he's found old cabin sites nearby, and he shows me various archaeological bits and bobs he's found over the summer. After we finish lunch, we mosey on back to Miss Lucy, where things are still in full hustle. In addition to being a mining claim, the club also maintains a campground here. I catch up with Ken Henthorne. He's the camp host. He sticks around all summer running the campsite, then hits the road for the winter. Mineral prospecting on public lands pretty much consumes his whole year.
I do my camp host duties, and then I pack up and head down to Arizona to metal detect down there. I belong to a club down there called Lake Havasu Gold Seekers. And they have several claims out there, and they pull out nuggets down there every now and then. And
Have you found one?
not yet.
Okay.
Okay.
What's the club in Havasu? Would you say it's like mostly men, mostly retirees? Like what kind of people are doing that for fun?
Well, we have a mixture of single people and young single people, old people like me, and a lot of married folks up there. But we have families that go up into there and dig, the ones that live there in Havasu all year long. And so if you get into a club, you find out that you'll have a lot of families in it too. And you got grandfathers bringing their grandkids out, and dads bringing their kids out and having a good time. And the treasure that I find mostly in these clubs is the outings or the time spent with your family and stuff.
Do you feel like this is an important resource on public lands that people can always just, if they think there's gold, be able to do this?
Oh yes, we need mining to continue, because that's what keeps America going. And by bringing the families out here, it teaches the kids that this is their land. This is public land. This is their land. And they have a right to come out here and use it as they deem necessary, as long as they clean up after themselves. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep the spirit alive. And yeah.
Does it feel good? Because I feel like you guys are doing something that's very similar to what people did 150 years ago. How do you feel about that way of life is still alive?
I love it. And it lets the government know who's boss.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's under threat, like what you guys do now?
Yes, by people who feel that it shouldn't be touched. It should just be looked at. And like I'm injured and I can't do much. And so with these areas that they're putting in the wilderness, I can't drive into it. I can't enjoy it. I can't walk into it either. So it's shut off from me and people like me. But by keeping people coming up, enjoying their lands, and they see areas getting shut off more and more, then we can go to the government and say this isn't right. But coming in and destroying the land and polluting it and throwing toxins in it, I'm not for that either.
Ken's words that mining is important to him, not just for fun, but for social connection, not to mention the ever-present allure of a possible windfall, this sticks with me. He sounds like anyone talking about their favorite way to be on public lands. And I don't know why I never thought of small claims miners this way. Before going to Miss Lucy, I'd never really met any gold miners. Ever. I was kind of expecting them to be gruff and secretive. In other words, not an easy interview. But that wasn't the case at all. Everyone I reached out to today was super friendly. So much so that I found myself imagining bringing my kids back here to try their hand at prospecting. This is one thing I love about public lands. There are so many different groups of people with different beliefs who call these lands their own. Public lands belong to all of us, and that's how it should be. Sometimes we feel like we don't understand other land uses or land users. I can only speak for myself, but I often find that when I take the time to truly experience someone else's favorite land use, I end up thinking it's pretty cool. And that was definitely the case for me with mining. Mining will probably never be my thing, but I appreciate everything that goes on here. Its role in establishing the West, its role today. For a lot of people, like the ones I met at Miss Lucy, it's just another way of connecting with the outdoors. And I love that people still do this the way they did more than 100 years ago. Mine for gold. This idea that there is free wealth out there if you're willing to venture out and work hard for it, it strikes me as very American. And I think that value is embodied in a number of different ways in our culture, but perhaps especially so in mining.